So, um, for any of you who may be returning who are watching the Swoop documentary with me, this is the sixth and final video that will be the last bit of reaction I have to about the remaining 45 minutes of the documentary that I um, have left to react to. I did actually finish this last night, and when I went back to rewatch it, I realized that there was about 15 minutes in the beginning where my microphone was off and I didn't record anything. So I was trying to figure out what to do with it. I gave up on it last night, and today I've just decided to go back and react to about the first 10 minutes of the documentary. Um, I like to just have initial reactions to things. I really didn't watch any other. I don't believe I watched any other portion of this beforehand and then reacted to it. I mean, these are just my initial reactions. I kind of think that's the point of a reaction video, is to get someone's initial reaction to it. So I apologize. This is the only way I can think to fix it. So you're gonna get some repeated reactions here. In this first part, there is a large portion where I am talking about I started to drink this nighttime drink that I drink, and it looks like beer. So I was trying I actually showed in those clips that it wasn't beer. What I actually do is I make sleepy tea. I brew it. I put 2 tea bags in it. I brew it, and then I take magnesium, and some of you might be familiar with it. There's like a supplement. It's magnesium. You can get it at Walmart. It comes in the packaging. It says Calm on it usually. I use the raspberry lemon flavor. Comes in a container and it's just powder inside. What I do is I take that powder and I put it in a glass of ice, no water, nothing in it. And once my tea is done brewing, I then just take the tea and I pour it over the magnesium on and ice, and it ends up making just a nice, calming, relaxing drink at night. It fizzes up and it frothes. And so I had it in a glass, and that's why I was trying to explain, like, the sleepy tea has a tint to it that can actually look like beer, and the magnesium, when it reacts to it, it frothes up. Like, if you try this at home, be ready, because I mean, it will froth up a lot. So you have to have a spoon ready and keep stirring it, or else it will overflow your glass. So if you try it at home, just be careful. It's a great drink. It's very relaxing. I find it actually refreshing because it gets fizzy, but it will overflow in the glass. So if you want to try that, let me know if you like it or not. It's just one of my sleepy time tips. Trying to think. I don't know if there's anything else that I wanted to say. Someone did call me out because they asked me why I was saying Mila Kunis's name so weird. I did. I completely botched that in the first video. I tried to say something in the second video to correct it, but I don't really think anyone watched the second video unless it was by accident. So they probably didn't see that correction. I generally try to take great care in learning people's names and pronouncing them correctly. I, for whatever reason, just keep wanting to call her Miley Kunis instead of Mila Kunis. And it's rude. I don't like to do that. So please, if I do that in the future, feel free to call me out on things. I mean, I can't learn and grow if I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So thank you for calling me out on that, and continue to do so. There is some stuff. The more that's coming out about the Ashton Kutcher situation, there's something I saw a couple years ago. I think it's something that all of us saw a couple years ago, and no one really had any questions about it at the time. And with everything that's coming out now, I've gone back and I've re-examined this footage of something that Ashton Kutcher said, and I can see how, in the context of how it was being said, that no one questioned it and no one batted an eye at it. And now looking back on it, I'm not making any accusations whatsoever, but I have some questions. And these are very serious questions. I have some questions about things, and I want to put out a video, not to make any accusations. I just want to see if other people see what I see and hear what I hear. I want to see if people think I'm being ridiculous, or if this material actually is kind of shocking, because the more and more I'm thinking about it, like, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of makes me a little bit sick. So I just kind of want to put it out there. as a question, I think there's some important questions to ask about that whole situation. So I want to just kind of put it out there to people and see what they say. I by no means wanted my reaction station to be anything really controversial or anything that heavy. I just kind of want to have some content where people can come and do what I do on YouTube, which is escape, and if you feel like laughing, you can find material to make you laugh. If you want to find material because you're feeling sad and you just want to like cry to some material, that's fine. If like there's music that you just want to see reactions to, I just wanted my channel to be an escape for other people. I didn't necessarily want it to be something as serious as what I think my follow-up video is going to be, but I have something to say and I have some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and throw them out there just because there are some people who are watching this content. Not a lot, but enough that if people watch it, maybe they can just give me their opinions and say, "Oh, you're being ridiculous," or wow, you're right. Like, a lot of people drop the ball on that. So sorry, not to run on about that. But that will be coming. So look for that if you want to. And again, thank you to my 3 subscribers. I have 3 subscribers now. I'm super excited because honestly, I didn't tell my friends and family about this. I didn't tell anyone what the channel was or give anyone links to it. So those 3 people are just strangers who subscribed, and thank you very much. I was a little sad because I was up to 4 subscribers and then I lost one. And it kind of makes me curious because I'm amazed and I'm like, wow, I got like 3 subscribers and then I lost one and I was like, I'm wondering what I said or what I did that I lost the subscriber. It just makes me curious, but it is what it is. And for anyone else who wants to like and subscribe, that's great. I don't have YouTube Premium, and I've continually said, if you're tired, if you're watching this with me and you don't like watching the commercials, go ahead and like and subscribe. And if I get enough people to subscribe, I'll go ahead and pay for that premium YouTube subscription. I should probably do that anyway. All right. Sorry, rambled on for a bit there. I'm going to go ahead and react to like the first 10 minutes of this, and then hopefully I can just go ahead and splice it together and hopefully you enjoy the content if you are watching. I don't have any cats to show you right now. No one's close by. Mr. Munchkin is around because I hear his bell, but he's nowhere where I can grab him right now. If I find him, I'll show him to you. All right. Again, without further ado, oops, let me get to it. Here we go.
One of the things that made interviewing John Silvestri so frustrating is that in virtually all of the stories he told me, he claimed back then he was 15 or 17 years old and being directly invited to Joshua's shows across the country, while also proving through his own words that this wasn't the case. One of the most perplexing examples of this came when John told me a story about how he flew down to California from Illinois to catch one of Joshua's shows that he claimed Joshua made him go to, and how he was allegedly 17 years old and renting a car to do that. To be clear, none of that was true. He was an adult, and the invitation John talks about was Joshua promoting a show on Twitter.
I want to touch upon quickly on the Irvine show, the Shadows tour, the first show that you had of that tour. That happened on May 20th, 2015. That was just a few days before Johnny's birthday on May 24th, when he was about to turn 19. Johnny claims that you invited him to the show.
He would say stuff to me like, "Oh my God, come to California for my show." And I'd be like, "Are you serious?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, come on down." And I'd be like, "Whoa, sick."
So he flew out to Los Angeles, rented a car, and drove to the show. He also has said that he had trouble renting the car and that he had messaged both you and Colleen, kind of conveying that he was stranded and hoping maybe you would come pick him up from Irvine and to Los Angeles. I'm curious, do you remember him calling you, and did you directly invite him to that show?
I don't remember him calling me. It was our very first show.
Mm-hmm.
We were on edge. We were nervous. Everyone and their brother was coming to that show. Every YouTuber you can think of was at that show. If he did call, and I just don't remember that was happening, I had so many things going on tech runs, making sure everything is set up.
Sure, it's a busy time.
It's a
understand.
lot. So
Yeah.
if I got a call, I probably was overwhelmed at the time. Don't really remember it, but I'll take him at his word if he said that's what he experienced and that's what he called. So it wasn't me saying, you got to come to this show, man, do whatever it takes. Like, that's not what happened.
This is the night that Johnny has stated that he came out to you. And he said that you responded by saying, quote, "That's none of my business." And when he said that he has expressed that he had told you that he was considering coming out to his parents, and he has said that you discouraged him from doing so. Is this how you remember that happening?
Yeah.
And I remember going back when the accusations were first coming out against Josh from Johnny, I remember thinking that this one was strange because I remember thinking, like, at the time, like, Johnny was insinuating a little bit that maybe Joshua had done things that were, well, he did say, like, he did things that were potentially worse than what Colleen Ballinger had done, which I think left us all to imagine, like, oh my gosh, what could Joshua have done? I mean, that was really kind of insidious because it left us to wonder if Josh had an inappropriate relationship with Johnny, a really inappropriate relationship with Johnny. And I just remember thinking that I thought it was strange if that had occurred, that Johnny had this conversation with Joshua, that he came out to him, and basically I feel like Joshua's response was an appropriate response as an adult, where he was like, hey, that's none of my business. Maybe he was sensing that Johnny did have a crush on him. Maybe he felt like Johnny was putting out feelers to him, like seeing if Joshua would reciprocate feelings for him. But like, in that moment, there may have been better ways to respond, but I think Joshua did the best he could and said, hey, that's none of my business. He drew a boundary. And then when he advised him not to tell his parents, I think it probably would have been better if Joshua had referred him to some, like, mental health services, or even like LGBTQ support lines that he could have called, maybe to talk about those things. Or even Joshua himself could have said, you know what, I'm not sure what the appropriate response for me is here. It's just like, you do have to understand I'm an adult and you're a minor, and I don't want to give you incorrect advice, but I do want to support you. But just give me a minute to maybe touch base with some people and find out, like, the best way I can support you with this. Because it doesn't sound like Joshua knew what to say. And that's okay. If you don't know what to say in the situation, you can say that. Be like, I'm not really sure how to respond to this, but I don't want to respond to you in the wrong way. So let me just kind of reach out to some people and find out what the best way is to support you. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But especially since the documentary does say that Joshua had a Christian background, I'm not saying all denominations of Christianity are against LGBTQ issues, but some of them are. I mean, some of them absolutely are, so I could see Joshua maybe being protective of Johnny in that situation. So, I mean, that's just kind of all I have to say about that, but we can go ahead and see what Josh has to say.
It did happen that way. He said it to me. I was taken aback. I was not expecting that kind of a major life declaration, especially in that dynamic, in that situation with what was going on around us. The first response was, that's not my business. You don't have to tell me that kind of a thing. But then when it comes to his parents, what he's leaving out is he also expressed immense fear of what his parents would say or do in reaction. And so, being from the South and knowing how people treat and seeing people being treated a certain way, my first response was, if you feel like this is dangerous for you, and if you do it, you might not have a place to sleep at night and you don't know what's going to happen, maybe you should wait until you're 18. What, he said he was 19?
There's been different ages that have been
That's
stated,
what I'm like.
But when he has said that this happened at the Shadows show, which would have been in 2015. So that would have put him 18 turning 19.
Okay.
At the time. So he has said that this is when it happened. So
I
I'm just going off of
absolutely,
that.
See, it sounds like maybe like Johnny's, had this history of lying, but it's not just that he's lying about it now. He may have even been lying to Josh then about what his age is. And Josh may have been thinking, oh, okay, this kid's 17. If his parents want to kick him out of the house, he's going to end up being homeless, which does happen to a lot of kids, unfortunately. So, you know, there's this possibility that it sounds like Joshua had the impression then that he was talking to an underage Johnny and he was concerned about him being homeless. It just led me to wonder if Johnny had been lying to him about his age as well.
yeah, sure.
Information. So he would have been
Well, then
about to turn 19.
Then what I recollect is that he was living with them. He was still under that roof.
Mm-hmm.
And my response was, if you feel like that would mess that up and that you would not have a place to go, then my advice is to get on your own 2 feet and be able to take care of yourself. If you don't feel like the response, you know them better than anybody else here would know. So if you don't think they're going to receive it well and you're afraid of that, then I've seen where it goes sour and they're left on the street and it's real and it's bad. It was never a thing of don't tell them, like that's not, I don't feel that way. I did not feel that way during that time. So for him to say that I was just like kind of shoving it off and say, don't tell them, it's so bad. That is not what I thought. That's not my tone. If anything, he's picking and choosing parts of it and leaving other parts out.
And that was another point that I made when I initially reacted to this, is because I never took it that way. Even when that information came out, I didn't take it that Johnny was upset because Joshua was trying to silence him and be like, no, you can't tell anyone you're gay. You keep that a secret. Like, I didn't take it that way. I just took it that Johnny was just upset that Joshua would even tell him just to keep it to himself, like at all. But I didn't really understand. I mean, maybe I was just confused that there was this larger issue, that it was Johnny was trying to paint this picture that Joshua was just telling him that's like just something that you don't tell anybody, not necessarily that Joshua was just trying to say, well, maybe don't mention this to your family if you think you're going to be homeless because of it. So that's an important difference. I didn't realize whenever the information first came out that was kind of the implication.
I remember thinking he's afraid of what his parents are going to say, or if they're going to be distraught and it's not going to end well for him. And maybe he doesn't have anywhere to go because he still didn't have a lot of people in his life, to my knowledge.
I'm not going to provide my thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
He does seem quite hurt and upset, feeling like he was discouraged.
I don't believe him. I don't.
Dang, that's like right out there. Like, I don't believe him. I don't believe him.
I think he knows me. For him to say that I discouraged him because I thought it was wrong or there was something wrong with him is absolutely the polar opposite of who I was then, especially who I am now. There's no part of me that would shun him in a way of like, don't you say that. That was never a part of it. I think he knows that. It feels like a lot of things. He pulls fragments and he leaves out context. And when you do that, you can string together any type of narrative you want. It's happened to me so many times with the Colleen situation. So it just doesn't feel right for him to twist it without the context of, but he also communicated this other thing that changes to me the whole dynamic. I feel like it was at the meet and greet. There's a lot of things happening and he drops this. Okay, you dropped it. I don't know how to take that in this moment. I got a whole line of other people waiting. And now you're expressing you don't know how it's going to go. So to hear him just push that narrative over and over and over feels very dishonest.
I'm going to leave your words to speak for yourself there. I think it's obviously a very sensitive subject. Within the same time frame, though, a few days later, per what Johnny told me in an interview, he said he received a birthday gift from his family, which was a video montage of a bunch of family, friends, and whatnot wishing him a happy birthday. And it included clips of you saying happy birthday to him and Trent Ballinger. On Twitter, Johnny has characterized your video clip. He's clipped it out, he's put it on Twitter, and he's characterized it as very creepy, a creepy act.
What's up, Johnny? Happy birthday, man. And today's a big day for you. Happy birthday, man. I believe in you. I'm proud of you. And I cannot wait to see what the future holds for Mr. Silvestri. To Johnny. What the future holds for Johnny.
However, in my interview with him, he told me that, and I don't think he's shared this publicly anywhere, he told me that his family hounded you to make that video.
And then even
There's some froth. I don't know if you can see it. Once I got to the bottom where there's more powder, I swear it frothes anyway.
more confusing is that video you see of him wishing me a happy birthday. They told me now that they had asked him if he would do it, and he said, yes, absolutely. And then they had to hound him and be like, dude, you said you'd make the video. Like, come on. Like, you're the only person we're waiting on. You're not Beyonce. Get on your phone and just say, hey, Johnny, happy birthday. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. You said you'd do it.
I was asked repeatedly, can you send this? But I was asked that question from numerous fans. It's my birthday. Can you send me a birthday shout out? It was like Cameo. Like it was something that, yeah, every now and then I would either tweet to people, happy birthday, I heard it's your birthday. Or I'd pull up my phone right then and there and be like, hey, Margaret, I heard it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Hope you have a great one. And I remember hearing, hey, it's his birthday. Can you add, we're doing this. Can you add to it? And I mean, why would I not?
I just want to say right now that if any of my 3 subscribers wants me to give them a shout out on their birthdays, I will 100% do that for you. No problem.
For him to call it creepy, I don't understand what's creepy about it. Tell me what's creepy.
I just, you know, I don't think that he had shared publicly that his family had actually requested it. And
I was requested so many different times from different people.
Or sorry, he actually used the word hounded you for it.
It feels so out of left pocket. It doesn't feel like, how can you take that where anyone can watch it and then turn around and be like, see how creepy that is? When it's, to me, it's the most innocent, wishing someone a happy birthday.
Now, one of the things that has always been perplexing to me about John Silvestri's claims against Joshua was that Joshua ghosted John. It has verifiably been shown untrue, even in the literal sense of the word, for as long as I've known about John's story. Now, Joshua explains what I mean pretty well.
I want to move on to the ghosting that he talks about. Do you know specifically when you stopped speaking to Johnny?
The last 2 months of my marriage, so summertime of 2016, things were rough in my life before everything blew up. And I already started distancing myself from people. I was going through a lot of stuff. I didn't know who to talk to. When I'm sad, depressed, I isolate. When everything happened, my life imploded. My whole world was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
I lost, like I said, I lost a family. I was betrayed by the one person I wanted to trust the most. I was falling apart. I didn't know what my next step was going to be. I was thinking I could ask for half of everything, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give it all to her. And I did do that. And I don't remember half of the people reaching out to me because I just went into a dark, silent place. And the next thing I can remember that has anything to do with him is seeing him tweeting positively to her. And so in my mind, I'm like, I was hurt by that. I was hurt thinking, why are you showing support to someone that you know, if you're like my internet little bro, like what, it feels weird that you're like saying admirable things to this person that wrecked me. And so I didn't confront him. I didn't go off. I wasn't about to be like, you need to come over to my side. How dare you? I don't want to control him. That's the whole thing. He wants to say he was controlled. That's the opposite of what I did. I didn't want to control him. I wanted him to make his own decisions. So to me, he made a decision. And then I made a decision, which was, I can't see anything related to her. It hurts too bad. So I removed anything that had any type of connection to her.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like on my channel, I featured a lot of her family members. I had to take that off. But then I also took YouTube away. Like I just walked away from YouTube for a chunk of time and fell into a deep.
Okay, this is for my body language people, but I've noticed he's done this a lot throughout the whole interview. And I believe it's something that Princess Diana used to do, where it's like that kind of tucking your chin in. I believe that's a protective thing to like tuck your chin in because you're protecting your throat. And then you're kind of like looking up, just above your eyes like that. He does that a lot. He kind of like tucks his chin in and he looks up like that. And I forget what that's supposed to mean, but it is something I believe it was something like Princess Diana was kind of like notorious for when she would talk is just kind of like that. And I noticed he does it a lot too. I believe that's like a protective, you're bringing your chin down to protect your throat. I don't really know what it is to like gaze like that with your eyes, but something I think there's like I believe there's like a specific position that it's called, but I'm not sure right now. But just anyway, for the body language people, maybe you know what that is.
Deep, dark place.
Right, which you had spoken about earlier.
For him to, because he goes on and on and on about this whole ghosting thing. And everyone's like, poor Johnny, poor Johnny, poor Johnny. That was so messed up. I can't believe that happened. And once again, it feels identical to what I went through, where no one gave a about what I was feeling and what was going on with me. Everyone's like, poor Johnny, I can't believe Josh just abandoned you. And I'm like, who do you think you are? My life was wrecked. You think my first priority is to not talk to my best friends from childhood, which I wasn't doing, or family, but I need to come out and be like, I just want to let you know we're cool, bro. That was not in my psyche. Where's the understanding? Where's the ability at this point? Because he's not a baby. Where's the part of you in your humanity that goes?
See, that's the thing though. Whenever you're dealing with young people and teenagers, I mean, the world is very much about them. It's a very different place. There's a very different like mental understanding between being a teenager and being an adult. And so that's why adults shouldn't be talking to teenagers. Like teenagers can build that up to be something that's way more important in their mind. So yes, I agree. Josh was going through a divorce, but at the same time, he's also said this kid that he didn't feel like had a lot of friends, and you know, Joshua was kind of there for them and gave him his number as a support system. And so Johnny probably in his mind turned that into something bigger than it was. So Johnny probably didn't understand that. Um, eh, Again, see, I don't know. I understand Josh's point to this. Of course, he was going through a divorce, but he was going through a divorce as an adult. Johnny was dealing with rejection as a teenager, and he clearly didn't. As a teenager who sounds like he was depressed and didn't have friends, so it puts it in a different context.
Goes, he's going through hell. Maybe he needs some time. This ain't about me right now. The way he's depicting it now, especially all these years later, it's right there. My life crashed and burned. And he's mad that I wasn't like hitting him up. And then so he jumps ship and goes over to Colleen and then starts doing tour stuff with her and is still mad and acting like I was some villain ghosting him because I didn't give about him. It's not how it went.
Someone, I believe it was like the H3 podcast, but they did kind of liken Johnny to like a scorned lover. Like a lot of his behaviors just likened very much to like what a scorned lover would be or how they would act. And I do think that was, an accurate description, because that is how someone, who's just kind of like a jaded lover would act. So I mean, that's just kind of interesting. I'm by no means implying that there was a romantic relationship there. I'm just saying that Johnny kind of acted like someone who was interested in someone and got burned, and that he kind of acted a little stronger than somebody who just lost a friend. But again, as I said, he was very young at the time. So
It's infuriating because it's like, once again, it doesn't matter about what happened to me. Everyone else is right. Everybody else is always right. Josh is always the lesser than. It was just that all over again. I'm lesser than in every situation. And now in 2023, I'm dealing with it again. It doesn't matter that when my whole life fell apart and I didn't want to live. I didn't respond to Johnny. That's infuriating to me. Where's any ounce of care or consideration of what I was feeling? There is.
Yeah, I forgot. He not only went through a divorce, but he struggled with having issues with alcohol, and he also wanted to kill himself. So, yeah, he definitely had his hands full.
Isn't any. And now he's weaponizing it. And I have to defend myself all over again, like my heart doesn't matter.
Oh, commercials.
Let's play.
Again, this is another opportunity for me to tell everyone to like and subscribe, and I'll gladly get YouTube Premium. That's the deal.
4 years ago, I was basically unemployed. A wanderer with no.
If you don't mind, I would like to ask you, and it has to do with Johnny. He acknowledged you being a victim in your relationship with Colleen, and then he went on to say that, why didn't you get out of it? You must have wanted something. You f***ed around and found out, and now you're just upset about it.
At this point, I don't care that he was a victim, because we're not talking about that story anymore. If he wanted to talk about that story, he had every opportunity in 2016. He said he was going to do it, but he was making an ass out of himself. And I think he got embarrassed and he started this new life in Georgia. I'm no Colleen apologist, but he actively chose to remain in this relationship. He had so many outs. He didn't propose for like 9 years. Why did you enter a marriage that was so toxic if you knew it was so bad? You must have wanted something out of it, and it bit you in the ass. So I truly think it was like he f***ed around and found out, and now he's just upset about it.
How did that make you feel, hearing him say something like that?
He's saying the quiet part. He's saying what I think everyone is saying. It didn't feel new to me. It didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's like, yeah, I heard that. People just don't care how it affects me. I just really started believing that I just didn't matter. I didn't matter. How it affected me doesn't matter. My emotions doesn't matter. Johnny himself said, I don't care. Like, to me, it wasn't like some sword through the chest. It was just kind of like another numbing slap in the face. Another like, yeah, you already know this. You know that you were just this thing. You weren't a person who also has feelings and a journey and hopes and dreams and downfalls. Like, cool, you don't like me. I have thought that a lot of people don't like me for a long, long time. And it used to suck my soul dry. And now I have closed myself off. And I only truly look for that kind of validation with only a handful of people, if that. You have been, I don't want to like just kiss up to you, but I don't feel like you're in my corner. I feel like you are, you just care about truth and finding what that truth is and presenting that truth. But I feel like I have never experienced that. Presenting the truth has changed a lot for me. It's one of those things that I just never thought it would happen. So thank you for being the only person in this whole shenanigan that like made me feel like I was worth a couple of cents. You know, like I really appreciate it.
Well, you know, as I've told you, we just feel like in order to have an accurate story, the responsible thing is to hear from as many of the people involved as possible if they want to speak.
I don't want to skew how you're going to edit this or what you're going to show.
You can't, so don't worry about that. And also, you know that I will grill you. You know, the truth has a way of showing itself as long as you are willing to take accountability.
I do not regret caring about him. I do not regret wanting to be a positive force in his life. I regret that me giving my number to him led to a course of events that has spun out of control and the narrative has gone completely haywire. Do I wish I could take back the moment where I gave him the number? I do, because I don't want the pain that he feels to have happened. But I don't think at any point was I using him, manipulating him, getting things from him, promising him all these crazy things.
Kind of feel like that's big of him to not regret giving him his number, and realizing that he did need a friend at the time. And who knows if Johnny kind of seems like he's a little might have some issues, you know? So if he was that lonely as a kid, if he was struggling with the fact that he is, gay, um, and he's coming from a family where he doesn't think they accept that, I mean, that could have been disastrous. That really could have been disastrous. We all know what the suicide rates are for teenagers, much less teenagers who have issues with being LGBTQ. Those suicide rates go up. So, I mean, for as toxic as it all was, maybe it really was something positive for Johnny because, like, who knows how things may have turned out had he not had Joshua there. I'm not saying he would have killed himself, but he may have been much, much more depressed. Maybe those shows gave him something to look forward to.
All I did was I cared about him, and then I didn't know how to navigate when this guy kept increasing the interactions between us that started to feel to me, this isn't appropriate. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to say.
That's why in the beginning, when he didn't know what to do, he probably should have just tried to refer him to some mental health resources, or Josh should have reached out to some resources himself to find out how he should have dealt with it as an adult.
I don't want to hurt his feelings. He already feels like a vulnerable person. I don't want to be another rejection. So when I reached out to him, when I got wind that he was still so upset, I absolutely felt for him. And it wasn't to save face. It was private. It was me saying, I didn't, and I misstepped in my apology. He picked it apart, but I genuinely meant I didn't mean for any of this to happen. You were too young to understand boundaries. Next sentence, that was my responsibility. He doesn't try to include all of that. In that first apology, I said, you didn't understand boundaries. Next sentence, that was my job. And I didn't do that for you.
And boundaries meaning?
Boundaries meaning when he started showing up at all the shows and he would just stay and after all the people were gone with the meet and greet. How do you tell someone who says they don't have any friends or they struggle to have friends? How do you tell them, listen, man, you can't be hanging around every time like this? People start to look at that and they think, well, I want to hang around too. He gets special treatment. I saw it and I didn't know what do you say to someone vulnerable in that point? I had already established a connection that I wasn't prepared for it to evolve into what it did. And then I didn't know how to navigate.
Well, I just want to recap something that was in the Twitter DMs that you shared in the couple of minutes that we have left. There are 20 total messages between you and Johnny, between the first one and March 16th of 2015, which was the last message from Johnny where he said that you ghosted him. And 14 of the 20 messages are from Johnny. But you hadn't responded to him actually since January 30th, 2014. But as you said, your last interaction that you recall was you said the couple of months around the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny had then sent 7 messages after that with no response from you. In his video titled, Let's Talk About Joshua David Evans, he says very emphatically that the last interaction he ever had with you was March 16th, 2015, saying, quote, "This is the last interaction I ever had with this man." He's saying that was March 2015. But of course, he went to the Shadows show, which was a few months after that. So as we've been trying to piece the timeline together, there have just been some things, some dates that my team and I are just not quite certain what's happening with those dates.
Mhm.
But we have seen a last interaction, it seems, was on last public interaction, at least on Twitter, that we found was on August 16th, 2016, which sounds
Right around everything. August, September is when it happened.
okay.
Can you tell me what that interaction was?
Well, his tweet is deleted.
Oh.
But your tweet says, bring it, bro, 90s music forever. Do you happen to remember what that was about?
I mean, I'm all about 90s music, and I'm sure he made a reference or something.
Okay.
That reaction is absolutely what I would have given anybody who referenced something that I'm into, you know.
So to kind of wrap things up,
Yeah.
why did you apologize in the way that you did?
Because his pain in those moments, initial moments that I started seeing all this pop up, his pain seemed so guttural and real that the first thing I wanted to do was run and say, whatever I did, whatever participation I was a part of with this, I am so sorry that it led to any type of pain for you, or it led to a disconnect of boundary or what was expected, or where I dropped off, or whatever role I played that led to this being so harmful for you. I want to let you know that that was never my heart, and I'm so sorry that that happened. It was never my intent to swoop him in and then take him on this ride that led him to then be mistreated by Colleen and Corey on tour after the fact. Like, there was no ill will. I never had ill will towards him. And I'm really trying my best now to not let my ego get in the way and say things I'll regret, because if you look at the things he says to me now, or not to me, he blocked me because I kept apologizing to him. And he goes on to berate me daily on lives, on tweets directed at me, and then tells me, get my name out of your mouth, Josh. Yet all he does is drag me through the mud and embellish every single thing he can. The way he's piecing it together is so unfair, and he's using it now. It feels exactly how Colleen used other people behind the scenes to come after me. It's identical. The way it's being strung together, his word choices are so mean-spirited. I have never once tweeted something mean back to him, or you're this or you're that, and I can't.
I had been wondering too if Johnny and Colleen were still in touch, if maybe when all this stuff happened, I had wondered if Colleen had any influence on encouraging Johnny to come forward with information, or encouraging him to elaborate information, or if Johnny just completely did all this on his own.
Nothing. Maybe confusion, but the fact that all he wants to do is any opportunity he can get to drag me, he's doing it, to the point where, like, I'm afraid for my job. I'm afraid for the life I've built. I had lost everything. I lost my career. I lost the family I loved. I lost my self-confidence. I lost my will to live, to then finally choose myself and fight for myself, because that's where it starts. You can't have other people do it for you. You got to do it yourself. And that's hard, to choose yourself. And I think a lot of people watching this can also.
He's doing the Princess Diana thing again. He's got like his chin tucked, just kind of like looking up like that. I'm just curious. I can't remember what the body language people say about that.
Also understand it's hard to get up and say, you're worth it. You deserve better. So do it. To have fought so hard, to have done so much therapy, to have become so consistently sober, more than 3.5 years, to change careers completely, to start from the bottom, to live at my mom's house for 3.5 years. One, to take care of my mom and to be there for her, but also I needed it. I needed to heal. I needed to find myself again. And my mom gave me that opportunity, and I am forever grateful for my mother. To finally take a step out on my own and say, I'm doing this, and I'm going to get my wife a house. I can do it because I have this job, and it's a great job, and I've worked hard to learn how to do this new type of job. I've only done entertainment my whole life. And because of all this, it's not a safe place for me at all. everything that made me come alive is gone. I don't want to perform. I don't want to sing. I don't want anyone to look at me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to be on camera.
You had indicated that you were not going to return essentially to content creation.
There's no part of me that
after all
wants this to send me off into a new direction with YouTube. I don't want it. It doesn't make me happy. It makes me terrified. There's a poison in seeking validation and being relevant. It's a constant thing you always have to fight for. I don't want to do that anymore. I want my life and my wife and the job that I love, that I am finally doing so well in my little dog and my little tiny house, not some big mansion. I don't have that life anymore. I don't want it. To have fought so hard to get here, to then have someone not give two shits if their words affect me or not. When he knows so much of this is embellished and misleading. I even begged him in one of my initial messages, listen, man, I just want to live my life. It feels like right as I'm coming back up for air for the first time, you want to set fire and burn me down all over again. I've been through this and I made it out. It's triggering. For the first time, I'm not driving by a liquor store saying I gotta have it, but that thing in me is saying maybe all of this effort is pointless. Maybe all this work that you put in is pointless because someone will still find a way. You'll still be second fiddle. You'll always fail. And it doesn't matter what you have to say about it.
I mean, that is a very dangerous thing for someone with mental health issues, for someone with substance abuse issues. That's a dangerous position to be in, to have to fear that all the time, like something's just going to come from my skeleton and come and get me. But I mean, at the same time, too, we all kind of live with that. I mean, I'm sure we all have skeletons in our closet where you get to a certain point in your life and you just think like, oh gosh, if those skeletons came out. But I think most people let those go. I guess the unfortunate part about being a YouTuber is people don't let it go. It's, geez, I'm just kind of new to this whole YouTube drama, but it seems like it lives on forever, which is scary. Because like this man said, I mean, he went through a divorce, being suicidal. I don't know if he considers himself an alcoholic or if he just thinks he had a drinking problem at that time. But he definitely had substance abuse issues. So to feel like at any point in time people could still come in and just destroy his life, that's no small thing. That would definitely like wear on your mental health. I hope this puts an end to it at least. And it's sad too, because if he is a performer, it's sad that he doesn't get to express himself that way anymore. I like to sing, I like to act and be like goofy and things like that. And it would be sad to think that you just couldn't. I mean, I guess he could still do it, but not to do it on a platform that he's used to and familiar with. It's sad. I always think it's sad for everyone when people just don't feel like they can share their gifts with people for whatever reason. It's we all lose out then. Ooh, how the cookie crumbled.
I'm not going to lie, I'm not even sure I would have asked Joshua these next few questions knowing what I know now, but I've decided to leave them in for full transparency. We knew John had lied to us to some degree, but we're still in the process at the time of figuring out just how much he had lied to us. So at this time, I really wanted healing between these two men, especially since John kind of left the door open for that possibility at the end of our interview, although he kind of flipped and flopped and flipped. I don't really know, but I highly doubt that Joshua is interested in mending this fence now, especially after part 3. But to be fair to me, I really just wanted to see how Joshua's answer would look to this next question, and his answer was quite interesting.
I asked Johnny what he wants from you, and people online have been asking Johnny, what do you want from Joshua, from you? And he had, and again, I'm just paraphrasing here. I can't directly quote. I don't remember it immediately off the top of my head. But I think the one thing that he kind of landed on was that he wanted a phone call to talk to you. He just explained it as kind of a man-to-man phone call, one-to-one phone call. Looking at my notes here, what upset him the most was that after 7 years that you sent him a Twitter DM.
Yeah.
We've obviously heard your thoughts about the nature of how you viewed the relationship and you discussing boundaries and things and going through the divorce, which I do think, you know, is important for people to, regardless of where people's allegiance, where they want it to lie in this story, which is exceptionally nuanced. It's probably the most nuanced story that I've ever covered. That's why we've taken so much time to look into all of this, because there's just so many pieces here. He said a phone call. It sounded like he wanted that chance to just talk to you and not get a Twitter DM.
Why would he expect me to call him when, for the past few years before all of this happened, he's out there dragging my name publicly, calling me a little bitch, that he would say it to my face? More than that, plenty more. Why would he expect now for me to be like, you know what, he deserves a phone call? Why would I pick up a phone when you've already been dragging my name through the mud, when I've never said anything ill towards you or about you? Again, the audacity. What do you expect me? Okay, here I go again. Let me be the bigger person again. So many times in my life, I feel like I always have to like go through the growing pains and no one else does. It's always me. I got to face it. Nobody else has to face it. They just get away with everything. And it's like, to me, yeah, if I had not seen those things, if I had not seen you dragging me for the last few years, maybe I would have thought, I don't have his number, but I'll ask for it. I lost it years ago. But the word was all up in my head. So the fact that I still reached out and still sympathized with him and still spoke from the heart, and all he did was take that and make content out of it, shows me exactly where his head is at now and where it was then and where it continues to be. Everything out of his mouth seems opportunistic, and it seems if there's a way for him to take something about me and amplify it and make it even worse and to bring attention to every single thing I do and damn everything that I say or do and make it about him, then that's where he wants to be right now. And he wants to be man to man. I don't think he understands what that means, because a man doesn't do what he does. I'm willing to acknowledge, and I have, and I will continue to acknowledge my faults, my shortcomings, my selfishness, my bad behavior years ago. I'm man enough to face it. He wants everything in his own favor. He wants to be able to say what he wants, do what he wants, get all the acclamation, get all the followers he wants all of that. And then to also say, I just want a man-to-man conversation. No, you don't. You have not shown any type of behavior that shows that to me, that you don't come off to me as a man-to-man. You come off as someone who wants to see me suffer. You want to see me suffer. You're saying things that are just so utterly mean about everything. It's not just about our interactions. He tears apart everything I've ever done. My music, my shows, parts of who I am. He's tried to destroy every part of me. Who else did that? Colleen. And I'm supposed to say, cool, man to man, let's have a chat and be okay. In what world do you live in? Like, I want.
Sorry, I could hear bells moving around, so I knew one of the kitties was around. Got excited for a second. He's headed across the room. He's forgotten all about me. Okay, back to this. Sorry.
I want to come off like I'm okay and this is fine and let's end on a positive note, but this is hard. This is really hard, and I don't feel like it's fair. And I will say to him 1,000 times, I'm sorry for hurting you. And I'm sorry that by me distancing myself brought so much pain to you, and you interpret it in a way that has lasting effects. I will say it 1 billion more times, but I will not sit back and say, cool, say whatever you want, control the narrative, profit off of it. I'm not profiting off of any of this. I'm not making a dime. I'm not trying to spin it to get something for myself. He says everything I'm doing is performative. What part of this am I getting out of it? What good stuff am I getting out of it? I'm just getting more criticism, more finger pointing, more, he's only doing this for XYZ. I can't say, I'm damned if I say something and I'm damned if I don't say something. I don't win. Not that I want to win and someone loses. All I'm trying to do is be authentic and be real and be compassionate. And all of it is rejected and twisted. He's doing what Colleen did. He's using fans, younger people, and painting a picture of me, and then he's sending them out, just like it happened in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, years. And now he's doing it. I'm getting those same kind of comments now. The DMs I get, I'm happy I'm sober and I don't drink, because if it was back then and I got these comments, it would have sent me right back to that bottle. But not anymore. I want my life and I want to protect it. My wife deserves it. My little dog deserves it. I feel riled up right now, but it's only because I want to protect my little bubble, my little private bubble, where I make little tiny videos on Instagram about going to Home Depot. That's all I'm doing. I'm not making money off of that. It's just all of it feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. And once again, I feel like I either just tuck my tail and just accept that people are going to say what they're going to say and drag me once again, or I try to somewhere find the middle ground. I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect. I know I messed up, but I've done so much work to right those wrongs. I don't see anybody else popping up and taking accountability. It's not easy. I was the one rejected in the first place. And here I am again saying, I did these things. And it's like, it just doesn't matter. It's hard to feel like when you're a kid and you think you don't matter because someone tells you you don't matter. And then you're 39 and all of a sudden you got tons of DMs telling you how you are, like you don't matter. I wouldn't wish that on him.
If you could sum up what you're feeling in one word, what would that be?
So many words. Afraid. I'm afraid. I've been afraid of her for years and what she was capable of doing and what she did. Afraid of now losing everything that I worked so hard for in a very genuine, heartfelt way. No manipulation, no shady stuff, just trying to do the right thing and work hard. I'm afraid. This is my life.
Let me ask you,
Whew, that was a lot right there. That's pretty sad too. It sounded all pretty heartfelt. Hopefully he can just go on with his life after this.
one more question, one word, yes or no. Have you forgiven Colleen?
No. No one's ever asked.
Do you think
His therapist never asked him that. Again, that brings me back to the whole, I don't know about some of these therapists he's talking to. Come on. I feel like he's done a lot of work. That had to have come up.
Feel terrible saying.
you don't have to feel terrible for saying what you feel?
Hold on a second. I got a kitty. Oh, it's right towards the end, little buddy. Oh, here, I gotta flip over real quick. Oh, look, I caught a kitty. Oh, he came by to see me, huh? Oh, little buddy. Oh, I think he's sleepy. Oh, he's sleepy. Okay, sorry about that.
She's never shown me remorse. I don't forgive her, but I also do my darndest not even let her cross my mind. I don't want to think about her. And at this point, I'm very happy that I don't need it anymore. I have what I need.
If you were to give one final statement to the public who's watching this, what would you want to say?
I don't care how old you are, if you're a kid, a teen, college, a parent, when you seek the validation of an influencer rather than the people that are truly in your life, that's a road that becomes dangerous, that will lead to only pain and feeling let down. Value those in your life that truly show up, not just enjoy the clicks and not enjoy what your view does for them. There are a lot of mistakes I made, but I know there are a lot more that could have been done, that has been done from other people. And I plead to anyone watching this, seek strength in yourself, validation in yourself, and the people that are around you. And if you don't have someone around you, don't seek your validation from a social media person, a celebrity. They might care about you, but they can't. You're not their family. As much as that illusion exists, it's dangerous. Parents, watch what your kids are doing. Pay attention. Ask them. Say, can I see your phone? Don't be their best friend. Protect them. Because these influencers, me included, did not protect them before. So please, think about them first. And any influencers that might come across this and hate watch because I'm on it, you have an opportunity to make things better. Choose those things. You have an opportunity when you see things are wrong and that you could be complicit like I did, step up, go through the growing pains and say, this is not right. Being complicit to me can be just as damning as pulling the trigger yourself. I understand that because I did it and I have to carry that.
Regardless of where, this whole story lands ultimately, like I said at the beginning, I think your perspective, your context, sharing your story, I believe that you have the right to do so. And I appreciate you talking with me, sitting down here. I know this wasn't easy. And I think your words at the end there are as complicated and as nuanced as they are, given your history with all of these things and also things that are being said about you. I think those are important words for people to hear. So I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah.
There was one quote I said on my Twitter and I stand by it now. You don't have to be perfect to do the right thing. That's it. So start now. That's why I'm trying. I'm trying day after day. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you for sitting down with me.
Yeah. This is the only one I'm doing. I'm not going to go anywhere else. And I value how you create these things and your perspective and your professionalism. Everyone you've brought into this mix, you've handled me with the kind of care that I have not experienced in years. And it means more than I can express in words. So
my only hope is that everyone involved in this story finds some healing at the end of the day. Everyone is on their own journey. Mm-hmm. They have their own feelings. I will always stand by that. And I just hope everyone finds healing, and that includes you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I hope they find that too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to take a moment before I give my final thoughts to this series and thank you all for being open enough to allow these very nuanced and complex conversations to be had. Joshua did not have to come here and speak with me, but he did. Pamela did not have to share her heart, but she did. In reality, there have been so many people involved in this story who have opened themselves up to share their stories with me throughout this entire docuseries. People like Adam, Becky, Oliver, Alex, Ella, Bella, Soph, and others. Being open, being vulnerable, no matter how difficult it may be, is not easy for anyone. And my hope throughout this series is that we can start to approach these topics the way that Pamela hopes for, with compassion, accountability where needed, honesty, and humanity. Now, accountability is a layered word, and its actions are open to interpretation depending on how we as individuals decide to view it. Again, I am just on the side of hoping that the truth can be discovered, that healing can be found, and that maybe as a community we can make an impactful change in how these stories are told, even when it hurts. It's why I'm so grateful to each and every one of you watching for taking your time to explore this nuanced portrait of so many individuals. No matter where someone in this story lands, whether they remain in the shadows with their actions or step into the light, I think one thing is certain: there's a lot to be learned here, and hopefully the path forward for these people who are hurting becomes more and more clear by the day. As always, please excuse the brief tone shift as a bit of a palate cleanser, and then I will conclude all of this with my final thoughts. You can be sure to grab your pieces from the brand new Petty University Valid collection by tapping the link below and in the pinned comment. I truly believe you're going to love these pieces as much as I do, and I hope they are a constant reminder of just how powerful, brave, and valid you are. And I can't wait to start seeing your outfit photos. Please do tag me on Instagram so I can repost you. That is also linked below. I'm also launching a brand new second channel that you can subscribe to right now. Well, I'll be producing entirely new docs on truly mind-bending topics as well as interviews. I hope you will join me over there. It is also linked below. Be sure to check my link below at kenzie.com and use code SWOOP2 to get 20% off your Kenzie IPL device, because you deserve it, honey.
Swoop thoughts.
I want to echo some of the sentiments that I've had throughout covering this story over the last 3 months, which is my belief that the Colleen Ballinger universe and the actions of a few have had widespread, lasting negative effects on so many people, almost too many to count at this point. When I first pitched this story to my team, the three of us set out with one singular goal here: to get to the bottom of this story, figure out the pain it has caused so many, find the truth, and try to present that truth in hopes that maybe we can start to have healthier conversations around these topics, so that hopefully in time, everyone involved can find healing and the support that they need. I never imagined that this story would pan out the way that it did. I never imagined that halfway through this, I would even be pulled in. Covering this story has been one of the most mentally, emotionally, and physically draining experiences I have ever had, and that goes for my team as well. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the uncertainty of who we could and who we couldn't trust with information as our investigation went deeper and deeper became almost overwhelming. And even with that in mind, my experience here, my team's experience, still pales in comparison to the experiences of those who I always want to keep front and center: Adam, Becky, Oliver, Ella, Bella, Alex, Soph, April, and all of the anonymous witnesses who have come forward privately and publicly. They have experienced a level of hurt, exhaustion, confusion, empowerment, vulnerability, and bravery that I can only try to comprehend. And through it all, they remained steadfast in their truths, no matter what the world did or didn't say, even in the face of Colleen Ballinger denying them the accountability that they asked for. And the fact of the matter is, more information could come out about Colleen or Corey or John or Josh or anyone directly involved in this story. And if it does, my team and I will be there to analyze it. But for the time being, Joshua came here, like many others, shared his story, his pain, his participation in causing pain, and ultimately his hopes for everyone involved and the protection of future generations. And while it's not my place to accept his words on behalf of the others, I do hope at the very least, when all is said and done, as we refocus back on everyone I listed, that it might bring everyone maybe just one step closer to true healing when the time is right for them. So thank you all for watching, for giving me the space to share this story. Be good to each other, hold each other up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
As an entrepreneur, as a creator, I'm 24/7.
Is that it? Are they just squeezing in another commercial right at the end
makes
here?
it very easy to be connected with my store.
Again, if you would like to like
My
and
name
subscribe,
is
I'll be
Chef
more than
Jamoke
happy to
Jack.
pay for premium. Nope, that's it. Okay.
Are you sick of having issues with your
No,
webinar?
stop. Ah. Okay. Well, that's it. We are finally at the end of the documentary. The 3-hour and 30-minute documentary. Finally done. After 6 reaction videos, we have reached the end. And we still have our little buddy with us. He was sleeping for a little bit. That's why I was rocking back and forth, but he woke up towards the end there. Look at this cute little guy, Mr. Munchkin. Anyway, Well, let me see. That was kind of what I was expecting it to be, actually, except Josh was much more mellow than I would have been about a lot of those things because I really wouldn't have been as okay as Johnny was, or I wouldn't have been as okay as Joshua was about Johnny basically insinuating he could have been a pedophile. And that's a major insinuation. Oh, hold on. He wanted down. But yeah, basically, I mean, Joshua just accepted accountability for everything. I mean, he can't change anything. And so he continued to just kind of repeat that over and over again. That's kind of all he can do. Um, Hopefully everyone in the situation just can get some mental health help and get their mental health, in check, and hopefully everyone's doing well. And hopefully everyone can just learn a huge lesson from this and just move on. But I have a feeling there'll probably be some more drama from this. I'm starting to realize that YouTube drama just keeps going and going and going. So we'll see what actually happens with this. But for now, I'm so excited because I can finally say I am actually done watching the documentary. I know no one's actually watched this with me, but it's okay. I said I would do it, and I did it, and it's done now. And now I can just move on to doing other reaction videos, much shorter reaction videos that are funny and dramatic and musical. I can do all of that kind of stuff, and I've had like 3.5 hours worth of practice with this new software to try to figure out how to do it. So I'm excited. I'm excited for what's coming next. Thank you for being here with me again. I'm super excited about my 3 subscribers. That's pretty amazing, actually. And it's not even like friends or family. I haven't told anyone I'm doing this except my friend's kid. Actually, I told her I was doing it, but I didn't show her the channel, so I know she didn't subscribe. But yeah, I'm super psyched about that. Just to know that 3 strangers actually just liked my content. That's actually really amazing to me. So thank you to those people, and hopefully there'll be more. And if there are more, then maybe I'll subscribe to YouTube Premium. We'll have to see. I'll have to put a number on it. I think you need 1,000 subscribers to monetize your channel. Is it 1,000? Maybe I'll look that up. If it's 1,000 to monetize, then maybe I'll make the magic number 1,000. But until that happens, we have reached the end of the documentary. It was a good documentary, and I will see you guys next time. Good night. Or good day, where whatever it is where you're at. You could be watching this in the morning or the afternoon. So just goodbye. Goodbye. Oh, this is awkward. Now I have to get to the end of the recording.